is the most resource abundant land on earth, and it is, unquestionably and undeniably. Why do half of the citizens of Africa live in poverty? Africa is the richest land on earth. Why is it that it only creates less than 3% of the global GDP? How can that be? How can it be that $1 US is worth 2,300 Tanzanian dollars? How can that be? How can it be that the cost of capital, working capital, to run a business costs 16 to 21%? Apply that in the USA, apply that anywhere in the world, and businesses will fail. How can that be? How can it be that investment capital to build our country and the infrastructure that it needs to move to a better place, how can it be that they have to pay 12 to 15% in investment capital and the rest of the world pays 1/3 of that? How can that be? And you see, so in 2017, after I was fortunate and blessed by the heavens to raise $300 million on Wall Street, after having a career that put me on the board of JP Morgan Chase and General Motors, they let brother in the room to see how the global capital markets work. And I asked myself as I looked at what is going on in the world, and then I found that I was part of the culprit. I was part of the problem. So Martin and I talked to the head of it's TATO, Tanzanian Association of Tour Operators. They're primarily responsible for tourism in the country under the Ministry of Tourism. And you gotta understand that Africa is a continent with marvels. And if you look at Tanzania and Kenya, you have still the mighty Serengeti. Serengeti is this place where abundance occurs in natural life. Elephants and giraffes and zebra and lions and leopards and hippos and rhinos and things that you just only read about and see on television, but you can touch them. You can go there and touch them and see them. You don't want to touch a lion, by the way. And you look at this marvel and you say, how can it be that the black brothers and sisters, Dadas and Kakas, and Kaka's brother and Dada's sister in Swahili, how can that be? And so I'm an industrialist. An industrialist is someone that learns how to make something out of something that you have, make something more out of it. So it has one economic value when you start, you process it, you create a higher economic value. I was one of the most successful African Americans in the United States, and I never took my nuclear family to Africa. And I'm saying, how did that happen? And we talked to Tato, the head of Tato, and we said, what percent of the more than 1 million people that come to visit Tanzania are African American? He said less than 2%. African Americans had $1.6 trillion of buying power last year. $1.6 trillion. The GDP of Tanzania is 65 billion. Now, I want you to just put this together. I want you to kind of see what's up here, okay? That God gives the provision in Africa for the most abundant lands on earth. It was in Ngorongoro, Tanzania, that God planted the seed of humankind. First evidence of humankind was in Africa. And Tanzania is still Garden of Eden like today. And we wonder what our place is in the world. And it's because we are lost. We haven't found our way. We haven't found our way to the provision of God Almighty. And God has said it is time. In 2017, after I was invited over to Ghana to be a keynote speaker in black tie event, wonderful remarks, great evening, wonderful dinner. Afterwards, they invited me to go outside to see the Atlantic Ocean on a star-filled night. And we did. We were walking on a boardwalk distant from the water's edge. And I'm looking at the Atlantic Ocean, and I'm like, wow. And I took my shoes and socks off, rolled up my pants, laid down, and walked across the sandy beach. They followed me. I got to the water's edge, and I'm looking at the magnificence of God. starting to feel clear and that crisp. The water was just uncharacteristically still. It was so silent, it was deafening. I heard people behind me talking, laughing, and then God struck me to my knees. And I heard people say, Mr. Ward, Mr. Ward, Mr. Ward, Mr. Ward. And they just vanished. And as I was there and God took me where He wanted me to be, He allowed me to see souls, millions of souls, souls of our ancestors who were taken against their will in the bowels of slave ships, chained together to go to another land, distant, but they had no way back. And as my soul cried for their pain and suffering, God said to me, these souls are mine, my son. And then He allowed me to come back to earth. I didn't know then that God was preparing me. And I did not know that all that He allowed me to see, do, and experience, all. And people say those were crowning achievements. All of those four were for to prepare me for this moment in time. And so we can tell you the stories. We got stories, and I love how you open this. The blessings, God is raining blessings on us. You will not believe what God is doing right now. And it is so connected to the diaspora of African Americans finding their way back to who we are. If you don't know truly where you are from, you have a very difficult time